All right. And I forgot to mute myself. 1 second.
Whatever. Don't worry about it.
For all of us, yes, for the tons of viewers we have right now. Well, hello and welcome to Wednesday's episode of our Facebook Live. I'm Chris, and that's Mr. Happy.
Hi.
How you doing? Anyway, today's conversation is going to be about the importance, or should you hire someone who's got a side hustle?
Right.
Now, I mean, just because it is kind of a bit of a slang, if you will, I'm sure most people know what that is. A side hustle simply is a side gig and another job on the side. That they have a part-time, a full-time job or a main job, and then they got a role they do on the side for some extra cash or just for some fun. Is it important you hire someone who has that? Why or why not? John, why don't you go first? What are your thoughts?
Actually, I enjoy that piece, maybe because I have one being a photographer and stuff like that. But, I do the photography side and then I sell the artwork as well off of Etsy. So I guess when I go to interview somebody, I actually enjoy it when they tell me that, because it shows that there's some form of buy-in to what they want to do. And it shows that there's some form of, entrepreneurship to that role. Which is important, I think, in any job. Yeah, they should still be a customer service person, but I think it's important for them to want to own what they do. Right. And so when someone tells me that they have a side gig or a side hustle, yeah, I'm definitely down for it. I think it's one of the best ways for you to realize that someone has the passion in something. It's not that they don't have passion if they don't have a side hustle, because sometimes people don't have time for a side hustle. With family and then everything that happens with their kids and all that kind of stuff. But that also shows passion because they're passionate about coaching their son's soccer team or something like that. So that is in its way a kind of a side hustle, right?
I agree.
For you, I mean, I know you DJ, and what chose you? Why did you choose that?
So I mean, first of all, I've got a face for radio and a voice, and of course, when it comes to my looks overall. So I made a decision that I love doing, being in front of people. I'm not shy. Those who know me, I'm not at all shy. And I'm kind of an extrovert in some respects. And because of that, I enjoy taking all those passions, put them together. And so I DJ weddings and different types of events like that on the side. My company's not called this. The joke of it is that I should be called Beats by Bennis, but it is what it is. But I think the key thing, whether you're doing DJing, photography, whatever it may be as a side hustle, I think the other key thing is no matter what role you have in a company, if you have your own business on the side, you have an entrepreneurial spirit and you can begin to have an owner's mentality.
Right.
And I think one of the most successful things about a person, if you're in a company, no matter if you're bottom tier or if you're middle management or if you're upper management, having that owner's mentality about something is critical because it kind of puts you in a different mindset. You've got some skin in the game, if you will, and you know the struggles and the pressures that someone who's an entrepreneur has.
And I think there's an old school leadership management, I guess I would say, old school management feel that is, you don't want to have somebody with that because you don't want them to leave. And, that doesn't mean that if they have a side hustle or a side gig or whatever, a second job, that means that they're going to take over, and just say, well, I'm leaving you. Like, that's it. Like, my piece to my life and, leadership roles and everything as far as I treat the way I hire people is if I can get more than 2 years out of them, that's wonderful, right? But if I can get 2 years out of them and they leave a better employee, a better mindset, and they better themselves when they go after working with us for 2 years, I'm happy for them. And I'm impressed that that's what they got out of working with us. And I it's funny because that is one of the old school management styles is they want somebody to stay for 5 years or 10 years. And anymore, you're lucky if you get 2. And then, so if you get 2, what are you giving to that person in those 2 years, right?
Right.
And if they come with that mindset of being entrepreneurial and, having that owner's mentality, they're going to gain a little bit more out of it.
And I think to add to that, I would push back if an employer or a hiring manager, if their initial concern is the person not staying, I'm going to actually push back and say the problem may not be with that employee. I would challenge you, is it really with your culture? Is it really with your hiring practice? Is it with your employer brand? Because in all honesty, good employees typically don't leave. I mean, yes, they're going to, within 2 years, they may find an opportunity, what have you. But if you're initially concerned about someone leaving you for something better, check your company culture, check your employer brand, because if that's been a concern for you, it may have nothing to do with the employee. It may have to do with the culture and environment that you're nurturing within your company.
Right. And, it's funny because when you look at the world of sports, right, and you'll see, especially in football and basketball, you have the trees, the coaching trees that trim all the way down. So how many coaches came out from under Bill Belichick or Bill Parcells and those kind of things? They stayed for a couple of years and then moved on to get a better role. And they're now head coaches, and some of them are the best head coaches in the games. And it's because they learned what they did underneath the leadership that those people were there. And I think that that's key. Like I actually, we were talking to somebody, and this might have been on them, but they felt that they were interviewing with the company, and they felt that the company didn't want him to have a side hustle. And I asked him, I said, well, let's dive a little bit deeper into that. Like, why do you feel that is? How did the interview go? And he told me that he explained his side hustle. He talked about the side hustle. He, showed his passion for his side hustle. And I said to him, I said, you know what? It almost sounds like you pushed your side hustle a little too much. Mm-hmm. And, there's a point to the fact that you're there for an interview to talk to the company about working for them. Mention the side hustle, show what you love about it and the passion, but don't dwell on that side hustle for 20 minutes, because then and only then will they say, well, you're not really interested in us. You're interested to get money to drive your side hustle. And so you got to be careful when you're doing that in an interview as well.
Yeah, it comes down to people want to know what you do, what your personality, what your passion is. Sure. But at the same time, you have to show an eagerness as to why you want to work there. And if I may add, you can even turn it a little bit. How does your side hustle, how can it benefit the company? What skills are you learning? Have you learned through your side hustle that can be applied to whatever role you're interviewing for?
Right.
If you can turn it that way, then you're actually turning what you're doing on the side as an extra benefit to how you can be an asset and to grow the company.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's true. It's true. So yes, I do think companies should hire with side hustles. Yeah. If they don't, that's fine. Like I said, life gets in the way of side hustles, and they, if you have 3 kids and you need to take them to soccer practice and basketball practice and run them back and forth and cook dinner and, work. And I mean, hey, there's no time for side hustles. That's a side hustle all in itself, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so, that's another piece when I look at it and I say, do you guys do anything outside of work? And, well, I deal with my 3 kids and, my husband helps, but we have, soccer and this and that. I'm like, man, I've been through that. And I know that in itself is a hustle and a rush, and you've got to deal with everything. And so, yeah, that in itself will play into that role. And how do you handle that? Are you organized? Then, as an interviewer, you turn that, well, how do you organize that? Do you use a board? Do you use that, and that kind of thing, like, also plays into those interviews. So if you have good interview skills and you know how to turn your interview, a lot of times I think we have these people who are interviewing off a sheet of paper and they can't focus and they can't, shift, and you can't do that either. So again, a side hustle helps because then your mind's in 2 different areas, right?
Everyone puts down the word they can multitask. That's a buzzword. I can multitask. Can you?
Right.
I mean, can you? If you have a side hustle, or to your point, if you're juggling a family and responsibilities with that and their extracurriculars and what have you, that's you know, that shows you can side it. That just shows you got the multitasking capabilities,
Right.
you know, and that's important.
Yep, 100%. Well, good. This was a good talk, and hopefully some people got some stuff out of it. And we will meet again on Friday when we have Chef Dwayne Keller.
That's right. Chef Keller coming on Friday. Have a great rest of your week, guys.
Thanks.